Hello, boys and girls, and a very good evening, and welcome to this SBI PO Free Academy brought to you by TalentSprint. I hope all of you are healthy, and so is your preparation for the SBI PO preliminary examination, which is tentatively scheduled to start from the 29th of April. So we are on 12th of April today, and that means we have just about 2 weeks left for the D-Day. And I hope your preparation is really in the high gear. All right. I see a lot of you have joined the chat already. For those who are new to this session, let me mention that there's a chat box available right beside your video screen, which can be used to interact with us. So if you have any queries or any questions at any point of time, you can just feel free to post it there, and I'll be more than glad to respond. I see Anuj Kumar, Prithvish Gomes, Santosh, Naman Agarwal, and many others who have joined the session and have also started using the chat box. I encourage others also to do that. Right now, let's begin with your preparation. How is it going? You know that the session today is to add value to your preparation. Right, we'll be discussing some questions that were asked in the All India mock exam, the free All India mock exam conducted by TalentSprint last weekend. Right, in fact, we conduct an All India mock exam every weekend where you can participate and get to know your strengths and weaknesses. So in that free All India mock exam, the SBI PO pattern was was given, which had 35 questions from aptitude, 35 from reasoning, and 30 from English language. So what we're going to do today in this session is take up some of those 35 questions from quantitative aptitude and discuss it here. But before we start doing that, let me understand how good is your preparation and how confident are you now that we have just 2 weeks left. How confident are you that you can do well in this exam? Many others have also joined the chat. I have Swagato Banerjee, Shiva Prasad, Shashi Ranjan Kumar, Naman Mishra. Then we have Shesha Sai Charan, Prakash Joshi, Vaishnavi. Good to see you all. I hope your preparation is going fine, right? Yeah, look at what Ankit says. Ankit says, I'm fully confident except for reasoning. Except reasoning is what you mean there? You have mentioned RES. Except reasoning, I guess, huh? Swagato Banerjee says the preparation is going good. There are many others here. Kashish Goel, Dipendra, Krishna Sai, Anuj Kumar. Anuj Kumar says not so confident, but hoping for prelims. Okay. And yeah. Ankit has confirmed that yes, he was talking about reasoning. Looks like Shashi Ranjan has got some concern with the English language subject there, right? Manisha Pandey says, I've got some doubts in aptitude. While on the other hand, we have Prithvish who says the preparation is awesome. Okay, so glad to know that. See, it's high time now. I mean, I don't have to repeat myself that you pull your socks up and make sure that you practice as much as you can in these remaining 14-15 days for your preliminary examination, right? Because this is simply a game of practice. The more you practice, the easier it gets, right? If you look at the kind of questions that we are asked are all what we had learned in 9th and 10th standard, right? I mean, they don't ask you higher engineering mathematics and quantitative aptitude, right? What they ask you is questions from data interpretation, profit and loss, time and work, time and distance, right? Simple and compound interest. Concepts which we all know, which we had all learned when we were in our school, right? So there's nothing new when it comes to these topics, right? There are like limited models, limited question types, which you can all learn and, get to know the SMART method. But what actually makes the difference, or what actually differentiates the winners from others is the amount of practice. Okay, so like I always say, your preparation has got two components. One is the learning component, the other is the practice component. So learning component should have been done by now, right? You should have learned all the concepts, fundamentals, basics, shortcuts, SMART methods to answer questions across the topics, right? Across the subjects, quantitative aptitude or reasoning or English language. And it's high time now that you focus on practice, right? Take as many mock exams as possible. Keep practicing on your different types of questions. Keep practicing on your calculation ability, because today's session also is on quantitative aptitude. So let me quickly spend a couple of minutes to help you understand the importance of your numerical skills, right? I've seen this a number of times, right? Whenever I get to meet students or when we do seminars in various cities of the country, we find that, when I ask, what do you think is most important to score more in quantitative aptitude? While general views that, we need to practice more, but, there are responses like, we need to know shortcut formulae, I should know the smart methods of answering the questions, right? Some have also gone up to the extent saying that I should know what type of questions will be asked. See, these are things that are not in our control, right? What kind of questions would be asked? Nobody knows, right? What is in our control is our preparation. And if you actually ask me, by trying to learn more and more shortcut formulae or smart methods, we are actually trying to solve a wrong problem, right? A bigger challenge that all of us have when it comes to quantitative aptitude is the way we do our calculations, right? Just to give you an example, what is 72 into 48? Don't answer. But just think, if 72 and 48 have to be multiplied, would you do it on paper or without paper in the exam, during the exam? I want all of you to just respond to this question, right? 72 has to be multiplied with 48. Will you do this calculation on paper or off the paper? Will you do it mentally or on paper? I want all of you to respond to that one question, right? On paper or without paper? Just mention these two words, right? On paper or without paper in the chat box so that we get to know where actually do you stand. And immediately after this, we'll start solving some questions. So the point that I'm trying to highlight is calculations is the key, right? If you cannot do simple calculations mentally, then it's going to be difficult, right? Like, see, we have Prithvish who says we do it on paper, right? Manisha Pandey on paper, Sashi Ranjan on paper. While there are many others who have said mentally, and I'm glad that they are confident about that, but all those who are trying to do it on paper have to work really hard, because 72 multiplied by 48 is not a complex calculation. It is like, not that I've memorized this already, I'm just showing it all, but yes, you can do it on the spot, right? 72 into 50 minus 72 into 2. So that will be like 3,600 minus 144, right? So 3,456 will be the answer. But anyway, also the point I'm trying to make here is, spend time on your numerical skills. At least 40-45 minutes every day. Just take up 2-digit numbers, try to multiply them mentally. Add, subtract, divide. Do these basic calculations. That is what is actually holding us behind, right? If you're not able to attempt more questions in the exam, or if you're not able to solve more questions in the exam, it's not because you do not know the concept. You know the concept, but time doesn't allow. And why doesn't time allow? Because you end up wasting your precious time in doing most of these calculations on paper. Okay, so I think that's one point which you need to remember and try really hard to work on your numerical ability or your calculation skills there. With that, let us quickly move on to the presentation for the day. Like I've said, we conduct an all-India mock exam every weekend, and I have got some questions from the last weekend's all-India mock exam, right? We've chosen these questions from the quantitative aptitude section. So I'll present these questions to you, give you some time to try it out, and then discuss the solutions. Okay, shall we start? Many others have joined. I think Prasad, Kochu, Nikhil, Nigam, Uttam Kumar. Ankit has asked me a question. Ankit has asked me actually a very difficult question, right? Can we expect any change this year? Well, like I always mentioned, the most predictable thing about bank exams is unpredictability, right? You never know what happens. So you've got to be prepared for the worst, right? All right, so I've got a note from most of you to get started. So let me share the screen now. I'll present the questions one after the other and discuss the solutions with you all. So here we go. I think we're going to start with a question on data interpretation today. Not a very complex one, but like I said, what is important when it comes to the SBI PO preliminary examination is speed, right? How quickly do you solve these questions? I'm sure all of you will find that questions are simple, right? But then your calculations here really makes a difference, right? How quickly do you arrive at the answer? So let me present the first one to you all. As you can see, this is from data interpretation. A pie chart has been given to us, right? See what it says. The pie chart here talks about, the chart gives the composition of solar radiations, right? It says study the pie chart below to answer these questions. And this chart here is about composition of solar radiations. So like we have different solar radiations, right? Radio waves, alpha rays, UV rays, IR rays, beta rays, gamma rays, X rays, and microwaves. So the percentage distribution has been given here, right? You know that pie chart is always a I mean, mostly a percentage distribution, right? So 100% of solar radiations have been distributed across different categories here. And then he says that the total sun rays received in 1 minute is 3,600 units. So in 1 minute, the number of sun rays units that we get is 3,600. And here comes the first question. If the human body can withstand a maximum of 9,720 units of IR rays when exposed to the sun continuously, then what is the maximum time in minutes that any person could stand in the sun without crossing the threshold limit of IR rays? So all you need to do is just look at these percentages, do the appropriate calculation and mark your answer, right? See, the point that we need to understand here is, he says the total sun rays received in 1 minute is 3,600. So basically these percentages have to be applied all on 3,600, right? Like for example, I have to find out how many units of microwaves do we get in a minute. Microwaves contributes to 5%. 5% of what? 3,600, which is 180. Now you cannot be doing 5% of 3,600 as I'm doing here in the exam, right? 5 by 100 into 3,600, so 0, 0, 0, 0 cancel, then 5 into 36. Again, if you end up doing all this, 5, 6 are 30, 5, 5, 5, 3 is 15 and 3, 180. If this is how you're going to do your calculations, let me tell you, you are setting yourselves up for failure, or I'm sure that you will not qualify in the exam. This is blunt, but that's the fact, right? You cannot, or you don't have the luxury to put pen on paper for these calculations, right? I mean, 15%, radio waves is 15%. 15% of 3,600. See, 15% is not 15%. 15% is 10% plus 5%. You should be doing this mentally, right? 15% can be taken as 10% plus 5%. So 10% of 3,600 is 360. 5% of 3,600 is 180. 360 plus 180 would be 540. And by the way, the percentages are all very simple here. 5, 5, 10, 20, 15 and so on, right? Let's say if it is 12%. 12% of 3,600. What do you do? 12% is not 12%. 10% plus 2%. So 360 plus 72, 432. Right? And it is because I'm speaking out, it is taking so much of time. When I have to do it mentally, I'll save a couple of more seconds. And then the same applies to you as well, right? So the point is, work on your numerical skills, work on your calculation ability. So all the percentages here are with respect to 3,600 units, which is the total sun rays received in 1 minute. Answer the question. Okay, looks like many of you have already answered this. Let me just read out the names here. Most of you have got 27, huh? 27. Naman Agarwal, Manav, Viswajit Sahu, Krishna. Then we have Shriya, Poonam, Nikhil. All of you have got 27, option 3. Okay, let's try this now. What it says. If the human body can withstand a maximum of 9,720 units of infrared rays, IR rays, when exposed to the sun continuously, then what is the maximum time in minutes that any person could stand in the sun without crossing the threshold limit of IR rays? So basically, the human body can withstand maximum 9,720 units of infrared rays when they are continuously standing under the sun. So what is the maximum time in minutes? Maximum time in minutes that a person can stand exposed to the sun without crossing this limit, of 9,720 units of IR rays. Now, first and foremost, look at the infrared rays contribution here, right? 10%. So basically, if you receive 3,600 units of sun rays in 1 minute, out of this 3,600 units, 10% comes from IR, infrared. So I can say infrared per minute. Per minute is how much? 10% of 3,600, which comes out to 360. So in 1 minute, we kind of get exposed to 3,600 units of 3,060 units of infrared rays. What is allowed? Allowed is 9,720. So for how many minutes? So basically, it is a very simple calculation. I mean, I don't have to write anything on paper for this. In 1 minute, you get exposed to 360. How many minutes would it take for you to get exposed to 9,720? Cross multiplying, you get the answer, right? So upon cross multiplication, what do you get? 9,720 by 360 or 972 by 36. So that's like 900 plus 72, 25 plus 2, 27. So 27 minutes is the answer, right? 27 minutes. I mean, it's a very simple calculation, but then you got to be really quick into this. And then avoid putting pen on paper, right? You don't have to put pen on paper at all for solving this question, right? Let's move to the next one quickly. Okay, here comes the next one. The same data. Now the question says, The amount of beta rays in 10 minutes of the sun rays is how many times the amount of IR rays in 3 minutes of sun rays. So the amount of beta rays that we get in 10 minutes is how many times the amount of infrared rays that we get in 3 minutes of the sun rays. So this is like a ratio, right? You got to find out the ratio. You have about 30 seconds for this. Your time starts now. Okay, I think Sonu Kumar and Pawan Kumar have mentioned that the pie chart is not visible. Well, if you can just adjust the picture quality at your end, Sonu and Pawan, there's a settings button on the bottom right of your screen, right? You can use that to change the picture resolution. I'm sure you'll find it better then. But anyways, with respect to this particular question, let me tell you the beta rays contribution is 5%, and that for infrared rays is 10%. I'm just writing it here so that you don't have to worry about picture quality for now. Beta rays is 5% of the total, and infrared is 10% of the total. Okay, answers have started coming in. Gurpreet Anand has got 1.55, while on the other hand we have Vignesh and Lalit Kumar, Mohit Sharma, Naman Agarwal, Krishna Sai, all who have got 1.67. Dibakar Paul has also got 1.67, option 3. Right? Yeah. So most of you got option 3, 1.67. Let's take it up. See what it says. The amount of beta rays in 10 minutes of the sun rays is how many times the amount of infrared rays in 3 minutes of the sun rays. See, beta rays, what is the contribution of beta rays? 5%, right? 5%. 5% of what? 3,600. 5% of 3,600 is 180 per minute. How about infrared rays? 10% of 3,600. So you don't have to write this on paper. I'm just writing it here so that I can explain it to you. When you do it yourself in the exam, you know that 5% is 180, 10% is 360. So don't waste your time in writing OF of 3600 equal to, all this is a waste of time, right? Anyways, the infrared IR rays that we get is 360 units per minute, 360 units per minute, and beta rays is 180 units per minute. Now he's talking about his look at this. He's considering beta rays in 10 minutes with infrared rays in 3 minutes. See, in 1 minute, if we get 180, how much do we get in 10 minutes? 1800. In 1 minute, if we get 360 units of infrared IR, in 3 minutes, how much do we get? 360 into 3. 360 into 3 is 1080. That's the comparison. So the amount of beta rays that we get in 10 minutes is 1800 units, and the amount of IR rays that we get in 3 minutes is 1080 minutes. Now 1800 is how many times 1080? 1800 is equal to x into 1080. That x has to be calculated, right? How many times? 1800 is how many times? 1080 is the question. So your final answer would be what? 1800 divided by 1080. 1800 divided by 1080. So this is like 180 into 10, and this also is 180 into 6, right? 10 by 6. 10 by 6 is 5 by 3 or 1.66. So option 3 would be the answer, right? Quickly to the next one. Okay, here comes the next question. Try this now. How many minutes of exposure to the sun in a day? How many minutes of exposure to the sun in a day would be enough to ensure that the body receives enough amount of vitamin D, given that the body requires 40 units of vitamin D every day, and that 30 units of beta rays generate 1 unit of vitamin D. So that's an interesting one. Again, just about picking up the right values from the graph and doing those calculations. So 1 minute is what you all have. Your time starts now. 6.66. Nitin Sethi and Naman Agarwal. They've got 6.66. 2 by 3 is the answer. Option 4 looks like it is taking a little longer for others to arrive at it. I'll give you a few more seconds. Lalit Kumar has joined the group. 6.66. Right? Yeah. Nikhil, Poonam Shiguan has also got 2 by 3. Nandu has got what? He's got 4, 4, 4, 4. Okay, he means option 4, sorry. I thought you were talking about the absolute value. So option 4, 6, 2 by 3. Yeah. Anuj Kumar, Suresh, Liu Sai, Pavan Kumar. Everybody's got 6, 2 by 3. Right? So let's take it up. See what it says. How many minutes of exposure to the sun in a day would be enough to ensure that the body receives enough amount of vitamin D? So for how many minutes should we expose ourselves to the sun? Right? For how many minutes should we expose ourselves to the sun so that we get enough amount of vitamin D? Given that we need 40 units of vitamin D every day. 40 units of vitamin D every day and 30 units of beta rays generate 1 unit of vitamin D. 30 units of beta rays will generate 1 unit of vitamin D. See, for 1 unit of this vitamin D, we need 30 units of beta. These are all mental calculations, but for the sake of explanation, I'm putting it here, right? We need 30 units of beta. Right? What is the requirement of the human body? 40 units. So for 1 unit, if we need 30 units, for 40 units of vitamin D, how many units of beta rays will we need is the question. So how much will that be? 1200. Yes or no? 40 into 30 by 1. Cross multiplication, right? 40 times 30 by 1. 40 into 30, 1200. So we need 1200 units. 1200 units of beta rays. 1200 units of beta rays. Now all we have to find out is for 1200 units of beta rays, for how many minutes should we stand in the sun? See again, if you look at the calculation here, beta rays is 5%. 5% of 3600, which is 180. So we get 180 units of beta per minute. 180 units in 1 minute. But what is the requirement? Our requirement is 1200. So in 1 minute, if you get 180, in how many minutes will you get 1200 is the question. What do we do? Cross multiply. So this comes out to be 1200 upon 180. That's like 20 by 3, right? 20 by 3 is 6, 2 by 3. I mean, calculation is your lookout. Just 2 cross multiplications. First, 1 unit of vitamin D is obtained from 30 units of beta. So to obtain 40 units of vitamin D, we need 1200 units of beta. Then in 1 minute, we get only 180 units of beta rays. So to get 1200 units of beta rays, we got to expose ourselves for 1200 by 180 minutes, which is 6.66 minutes. Right? Let's take up the next one. Okay, here's the next question. Quick. The amount of alpha rays received in 2 minutes is how much more or less than the amount of radio waves received in 4 minutes? I mean, that again is a simple calculation, right? You must be doing it mentally. Amount of alpha rays received in 2 minutes. See, how much of alpha do we get in 1 minute? 10%. Alpha is 10%. 10% is 360. So 360 per minute. So in 2 minutes, how much do we get? 360 into 2, 720. Look at radio waves, right? Radio waves. Radio waves is how much? 15%. What is 15% of 3600? 15% of 3600 is 540, right? 360 plus 180, 540. 540 per minute. How much do we get in 4 minutes? 540 into 4. What is 540 into 4? 2000 plus 120, 2120. You getting it? So 720 is how much more or less than 2120. It's all about numbers. Forget about that alpha, radio, beta, gamma and all that, right? Now the question is 720 is how much more or less? Is how much more or less than 2120? 720 is of course less than 2120. How much less? 1400 less, right? 1400 less. Sorry, I think I made a mistake here. 540 into 4 should be 2160. Very good. Yeah. 540, right? How much do we get? 15% of 3600 is 540. 540 times 4 should be 2160. So 720 is how much less than 2160? 1400 plus 40, 1440. 1440, right? Option 3 would be the answer, right? 1440 units less. 1440 units less. Quickly, the last one. This is the last question from this data interpretation set that we have, right? See what it says. If presently the ozone layer in the atmosphere reflects away 60% of the sun's rays, then what would be the amount of gamma rays received in 1 minute? B. If the ozone layer were to completely disappear. If the ozone layer were to completely disappear. So he says presently, in the current scenario, ozone layer will reflect 60% of the sun rays away, right? 60% is reflects. I mean, it reflects away 60% of the sun rays. So if 100 rays are coming, 60 rays are reflected back. It goes back to the sun. Only 40 are sent to the planet Earth, let's say. Then he says, what would be the amount of gamma rays received in 1 minute B if the ozone layer is completely disappeared? Try it out. Okay, Nitin Sethi has got 300 units. Naman Agarwal has got 450 units, option 4. Krishna Sai has got 3, option 3. Rahul has got option 3, 300. So there's a confusion here, right? Is it 300 or 450? I'll give you all a few more seconds. Let others also try it out. Is it 300 or 450? $300? Okay. Poonam, Nikhil, Uday, they've got 300. Shubham has got 450. Nandu has got 300. Then we have Ella Varsan who's got 450. Shreya has got 450. Rahul has got 450. Manisha Pandey has got 450. Dibakar has got 450. So there's some debate here, right? 300 versus 450. Let's wait for a few more seconds. Let all of us get to the answer, and then we will see who's right and who's wrong. $450 or 300. Rahul says it should be 450. Kiran has also got 450. Looks like some of you are changing your answers now, right? We have Leelu Sai who's got 200. Well, this is a new answer now. 200, option 1. Bilawal has got 300. Yeah. Sonu Kumar has also changed the answer. Nitin Sethi has changed the answer. Good. So let's try it out now. Time is up. I think I've given enough time and you have created enough confusion here in the chat. See what it says. If presently the ozone layer in the atmosphere reflects away, you got to focus on this term here. The ozone layer in the atmosphere reflects away 60% of the sun's rays. Right? You know what is an ozone layer, right? I mean, the Earth is protected by the ozone layer. So ozone layer is reflecting back 60% of what it gets from the sun. So if sun is sending 100 units, what we receive is only 40. 60 sent back. Are you able to follow? Output from the sun is 100, but what we get here, the input on planet Earth is only 40 because 60% is reflected back. Now see what it is asking us to find out. What would be the amount of gamma rays received? Gamma rays, look at the gamma rays contribution, 5%, right? 5% of what we actually get. Total sun rays. So 5% of 3600 is 180, right? 5% here is equal to 180. Anyway, that calculation. So we get 180 units of gamma rays today. But anyway, the question here says, what would be the amount of gamma rays received in 1 minute B? How much of gamma rays do we receive in 1 minute? If the ozone layer were to completely disappear. If the ozone layer completely disappears. See, in the presence of the ozone layer, today when the ozone layer is present, we are getting how much of gamma rays? 5%, which is 180. And you got to understand that this 180 is equal to 40%. 180 here is equal to 40%. Right? Because 60% is reflected away. 60% reflects away. So what we get is only 40%, and that 40% equals to 180 units. Now he says if the ozone layer is completely disappeared, let's say the ozone layer completely disappears. If the ozone layer completely disappears, nobody will stop these rays. 100% will be received by us. 100% will be equal to what? Then how much of gamma rays, what units of gamma rays will we get is the question. So 40% is equal to 180, 100% is equal to what? Cross multiply. I'm sure you don't have to do this on paper, right? If you have practiced enough on calculations. 2.5 times 2.5 of 180 is how much? 450. Right? 450. So your answer here would be option 4. 450 units. Remember, 60% is sent back. It's not that 60% is received. Right? 60% is sent back. What we get is only 40%. So 40% today is equal to 180. 100% would be equal to what? Is the question. 450 units, option 4. Let me get back to the video for a few minutes here. Yeah. So I hope all of you have followed that last question, right? I mean, questions are all easy, but it looks like the last one was tricky for some of you, right? Some of you got trapped. 300, and then very smart way of getting the options, right? Option 3, 300 is there. Yeah. So some learning there, definitely. And then more importantly, like I had mentioned in the very beginning, you got to spend time on numbers, right? Practice on calculations, multiplications, additions, subtractions, divisions, squares, square roots, cubes, percentages, right? Very important to do percentage-based calculations. So before we move on, let me ask you a question about your preparation, or let me just see if you have got to ask anything with respect to quantitative aptitude. Your SBI exam is very close now, just about 15 days away. And I'm sure you're all excited, but at the same time, some sort of nervousness is building up, right? And a little bit of nervousness is natural, nothing wrong with that. But you should not, let it build up and get on a stage of panic, right? See, I mean, this again, I would have said almost 147 times so far, that these competitive exams, especially the bank exams that we go for, are not just a test of your knowledge, right? I mean, more than the test of knowledge, it is the test of your state of mind, right? How composed, how calm, how relaxed are you in that 1 hour of time, right? Because for you to give your best shot, you should be able to control your emotions. You should be able to control your anxiety. You should be able to control your nervousness, right? I've seen a lot of students, very smart students, right? Very good students, flunk in these exams because of nervousness, right? You have to keep yourself really composed, calm. Nothing is going to go wrong, right? I mean, you have to be confident. It's all about being confident. And that just cannot happen automatically, right? That also needs practice, okay? So you have to be confident, and for you to be confident, you should make sure that you give everything possible during your preparation, right? After that, if things don't go well in the exam, that's a different story, right? I mean, that's anyway not in our control. But what is in our control is our preparation. So if you had focused really well on that and did everything that you were supposed to do without leaving any stone unturned, then you'll automatically be confident, right? I mean, when you walk into the examination hall on that day, you would be like, I've done everything that I could do, right? Now let's just go and see what happens. See, success and failure is a part and parcel of life. You may not qualify, but you have to be fully confident. Okay? So I think the point is, make sure that you leave nothing to chance, right? Practice as much as you can. Yeah. So any questions on quantitative aptitude? I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions about your SBI exam or reasoning or things like that, but let's focus on aptitude, quantitative aptitude for the session today. We have just about 15 minutes left, so we'll take up a couple of more questions, but anything specific to your aptitude part here. Mohit Sharma says, which topic should I prepare the most? And please give me some suggestions regarding how can I increase my speed. Well, Mohit, question number 1 about which topic should I prepare the most? I think I have no answer to that. If you ask me what are important topics for SBIQ, I'm sorry, I don't know. Right? And I actually believe that nobody knows. Like I said, we don't know what would happen, right? I mean, you just can't depend on the previous year's patterns. They may ask you a different set of questions this year altogether, right? So do not even get into that thinking of what are the important topics. I mean, this is not your graduation exam, right? That some topics are very important, gunshot questions and things like that. I mean, of course, focus is more on data interpretation, but then I think what is more important is you learn all the concepts, all the techniques, all the shortcuts, and practice, practice, practice. Question number 2. What is question number 2? I think it asked a couple of questions. What is the second one? What should I do to increase my speed? I think I've been talking about the same since the beginning of the session and since the beginning of my career, at least, that you got to practice on numbers. Believe it or not, most of us are challenged with the calculations and not with the formula or the method, right? You got to choose the questions wisely, number 1. And then that is more to do with the reasoning ability, right? I mean, quantitative aptitude, there is nothing that you should actually skip. Every question can be tried out because there is a definite method to get the answer, except for number series. I mean, number series, you never know how much time it will take, right? It all depends on the logic. So reasoning, when you look at questions in reasoning, like complex circular arrangements, complex linear arrangements, puzzles, and then you have coding and decoding. These are topics where there's no method. I mean, there is an approach, but will you be able to crack the question? Will you be able to do the arrangement? You never know unless you try. And even a single try would take you about 10-15 minutes. So there you have to be very careful while you choose your questions, right? You got to choose your questions wisely, right? I think what is more important is when you read a question, even before you start solving it, you first take a call that is it worth solving or not? Should I actually go for it or not? Most of us get trapped here, right? Most of us end up trying out the wrong questions. It's like because these questions look really tempting, right? I mean, 5 marks. If I crack this arrangement, I'll get 5 marks. So you invest your time, and then you realize that this is waste. So choose your questions wisely. Practice on your basics. Practice on your calculations, especially for quantitative aptitude. And I'm sure your scores will shoot up. Okay, a lot of comments here. Let me just. I mean, we have limited time. I have a couple of more questions, I guess. What about my questions, sir? Shubham Joshi said division. Okay, Shubham, looks like I've lost your comment. Did you ask something about division? How to do divisions and things like that? Well, division again is about split and merge. I know division looks to be complex. It actually is complex when compared to the other arithmetic operations, right? I mean, addition, subtraction, multiplications is one category. Divisions usually takes a little bit of time. But again, if you look at the speed math video that we have for divisions, you will know that it's easy. I mean, you just have to learn how to break the numbers. You're getting it? See, the questions asked or the numbers thrown at you will not be simple. You have to break it and make it simple, right? So this technique called split and merge. You break the number, do the individual calculations, and then merge to get the answer, right? Like for example, I think we had done something a few minutes back, right? 9,720 divided by 360. 9,720 divided by 360 or 972 divided by 36. 972 divided by 36, right? Now what would most, or I don't know what is the status here, but usually what happens is we write 972 by 36 and start doing those cancellations, right? Like for example, 486 by 18, then again divide by 2, so 486 becomes 243 by 9 and things like that. But then in my view, all that is not needed, right? Instead of doing those calculations with cancellations with 2, 4, etc., you break the numerator in terms of the denominator, right? Look at it, just focus. The question is 972 by 36. 972 by 36. Now try to reach as close as possible to 972 in terms of multiples of 36. Like for example, I know that 720 is a multiple of 36. 720 by 36 is 20. So immediately what happens is 972, I mean, see, this explanation will be lengthy, but doesn't mean that it actually takes so much time to arrive at the answer, right? I mean, I am explaining it in detail. So just be with it, right? 972 by 36. I don't want to write anything on paper again, so that you get used to visualizing it. 972 upon 36. Break 972. How can you break it? You can break it as 950 plus 22, 972 plus 2. But does that help? What helps? Does that help? 970 plus 2 or 950 plus 22 or maybe 920 plus 52? No, these things doesn't really help. When will it help us? When we know that the split that we have done is a multiple of the denominator, right? So I would first take it as 720 plus whatever remaining divided by 36. Why am I taking it as 720 plus whatever, 972, right? 970 will be 720 plus what? 252 by 36. So 720 plus 252 by 36. Now, why is it so important? Because I know that 720 is divisible by 36. So what happens is 972 by 36 will become 722 by 720 by 36 plus 252 by 36. The 722 by 30, 720 by 36 is 20. Done. Immediately done without wasting any time. What is left is 252. Again, 252 is not 252. 252 is 180 plus 72. Why is it 180 plus 72? Why not 200 plus 52? Because 252 are not multiples of 36. If I take it as 180 plus 72, I get a multiple of 36. 180 is a multiple of 36. 5 times. And luckily 72 is also a multiple of 36. 2 times. So what happens? I've got 20 here, then 5 and then 2. 20 plus 5 plus 2, 27. Very basic, but I think this is what is the key, right? I mean, if you can do simple calculations faster, you will automatically be able to do more and more complex ones. Now you may say that, this is very simple, let's take something complex. But for you to be able to do that complex one, you should be very, very comfortable doing the simple ones first. Like for example, in multiplication, right? I mean, I asked you what is 63 into 21. You may say that 63 into 21 is easy. 63 into 20 plus 63 into 1, right? So 1260 plus 63. It will be like 1323. Now, let's say, how do we do 121 into 96? For you to be able to do 121 into 96, you must first be comfortable doing simpler ones, like 63 into 27 or 19 into 42 and things like that. So just keep practicing, right? And don't stop yourself thinking that this is easy, I can do it. No, it's not easy. Just keep doing it, right? Because every day when you practice, you'll find out something new about it. I mean, it kind of has to become your second nature, right? It should become your habit. And you'll start learning more and more techniques yourself, right? I mean, you will discover a lot of calculation techniques which you can apply very comfortably, right? I mean, it's about your comfort, right? It's not about anybody, somebody else's comfort, right? You should be comfortable doing what you're doing. So make sure that you spend a lot of time. Split and merge. That's all right. Okay, anyway, let me quickly go back to the video. I'll share the screen again and present the next question to you. I hope all of you have followed my point. Even if you haven't followed the method, understand that the process. The process is spend time on numbers, right? 40 minutes per day to spend time on numbers. I'm sure you'll start feeling the difference in a couple of weeks' time, right? So let me share the screen now and present the next question to you all. So this was the last one that we had solved. And his next question. All right, so this looks like this from data sufficiency. See what it says? 4 candidates are there for an award and obtained distinct scores in a test. Each of the 4 casts a vote to choose the winner of the award. The candidate who gets largest number of votes wins the award. In case of a tie in the voting process, the candidate with the highest score wins the award. Who wins the award? Statement 1 says the candidates with top 3 scores each vote for the top scorer amongst the other 3. The candidate with the lowest score, statement 2 says the candidate with the lowest score vote for the player with the second highest score. So we have to find out which of these 2 statements, statement 1 and statement 2 here, will be sufficient for us to solve this question, to answer this question. What is the question? Who wins the award? Who wins the award? I'll leave you with this for a couple of minutes. I want all of you to just focus on this. Reasoning-based question. I mean, yeah, I can say more of reasoning than aptitude. Let's see how many of you are able to do this. Option 5, huh? Okay, options are option 5. Option 5 is only 1. So we have Leelu Sainath and we have Jyot, we have Ashwin and Naman Agarwal. All of them have got option 5 as the answer, only 1. So has Pavan Kumar, Krishna Sai and Govind Raju. Only 1. Okay, I was waiting for somebody to give me a different response to this question. And we have Sudeep Sarkar, who's got option 3. Option 3 says any two of the two. Well, any two of the two actually makes no sense. Any two of 3 is more appropriate. But basically, I think any one of the two. It's not any two, any one of the two. Any one of the two. Okay, so done, right? Time is up. Looks like most of you got option 5 except one who's got option 3. Let's take it up now. See what it says. 4 candidates are there for an award and obtained distinct scores in a test. Each of the 4 cast a vote to choose the winner of the award. The candidate who gets the largest number of votes wins the award. In case of a tie in the voting process, the candidate with the highest score wins the award. Who wins the award? Alright, so see what it says. There are 4 candidates who have kind of been nominated for an award, right? Nominated for an award, and they have obtained distinct scores in a test. Distinct scores. Each of them has got a different score, right? They have obtained distinct scores in a test. Now, each of these 4 cast a vote to choose the winner of the award. So these 4 are only going to cast a vote to choose the winner. The candidate who gets the largest number of votes wins the award. So whoever gets the maximum votes will win the award. And in case there is a tie, in case of a tie in the voting process, the candidate with the higher score wins the award. So if there is any tie, we will check the score. Scores are anyway distinct, right? So who wins the award is the question. Who wins the award? Our job is to find out who wins the award. Now, look at the first statement here. The first statement says the candidates with the top 3 scores each vote for the top scorer amongst the other 3. The candidate with the top 3 scores each vote for the top scorer amongst the other 3. So will this statement help us decide who will win the award? See, there are 4 candidates, right? Let's name the candidates are A, B, C, D. I mean, highest scorer is A, number 1. I mean, in terms of scores, number 1 is A, then we have B, then number 3 is C, number 3 is C, and number 4 is D. So these are the 4 candidates, right? A, B, C, D. Based on their scores, they have been ranked here 1, 2, 3, 4. But are they going to get an award just based on their scores? No. The award will be given based on the votes. And if there is a tie in the voting process, then we look at their scores. So the first statement says, see, understand the question very clearly. If there is a tie in the voting process, then the candidate with the highest score will win the award. Now, what happens in statement 1? The candidates with top 3 scores. Who are the candidates with top 3 scores? A, B, and C. The candidates with the top 3 scores each vote for the top scorer amongst the other 3. Each vote for the top scorer amongst the other 3. So if you actually see, let's find out who gives vote to whom, right? I mean, you don't have to do all this drama in the exam. I'm just trying to explain it in detail, right? A, of course, A cannot give vote to A, B cannot vote. I mean, one cannot vote oneself, right? What he says, the candidates with the top 3 scores. The candidates with the top 3 scores are A, B, and C. Each of them will vote the top scorer amongst the other 3. So A, who are the other 3 persons for A, B, C, and D? He will vote for the top scorer. So one vote will go for B. What will we do? B will vote for the top scorer amongst the other three. Who are the other three for B? A, C, and D. Who's the top scorer? A. Look at C. C. The other three persons for C are A, B, and D. He will vote for the top scorer. A. Now, can we decide the winner from statement 1 is the question. Because the question is who wins the award. Are we capable, or are we in a position to decide who will win the award from the data given in statement 1? Is the data given in statement 1 sufficient? Well, the data given in statement 1 talks only about A, B, and C. We have no clue about what D would do. Right? These vote will go to whom is not known to us. However, if you go by the conditions given in the question, it says that the candidate with the largest number of votes will win the award. And if there is a tie, then we will look at the high score. So far, if you observe, what is the vote count? A has got how many votes? A has got 2 votes. Yes or no? A has got 2 votes. B has got 1 vote. Right? 3 candidates have voted, of which A got 2 votes and B has got 1 vote. Now it all depends on D's vote. What will D do? There are 2 things that D can do. D will either vote for A or vote for B, or maybe vote for C also. 3%. If D votes for C, what happens? See, let's take 3 different scenarios, right? I'll use 3 different colors to explain this. Case number 1. Let's assume D votes for A. If D votes for A, automatically A is the winner because A has got 3 votes. So A becomes the winner, right? Let's take case number 2. Let's assume D votes for B. What happens if D votes for B? If D votes for B, we find that B has got 2 votes and A has got 2 votes. Yes or no? In case 2, we assume that D has voted for B. So B has got 2 votes, A has also got 2 votes. And we know that in case of a tie, when there is a tie in the voting process, now this is a tie, B and A each getting 2 votes. Who will win? The candidate with the highest score will win the award. Who is the candidate with the highest score? A. So anyway, A wins. And what's the third scenario? The third case is, let's say, where D votes for C. If D votes for C, what happens? A has got 2 votes, B has got 1 vote, and C has got 1 vote. Even in this case, the one with maximum number of votes is A. So even now, A wins. So in all the 3 cases, you will find that A comes out to be the winner. So can I say that the winner of the award is A based on the data given in statement 1? Yes, of course we can say that. So your answer should be only 1 is sufficient as of now. Whether 2 is sufficient independently or not, we'll check it later. But the point is, 1 definitely will give you the answer. 1 alone will definitely give you the answer. Okay. I hope all of you have followed. There are 3 possibilities for the vote of D. D can vote A or B or C. If D votes for A, automatically A becomes the winner based on the maximum number of votes. When D votes for C also, A would be the winner because he's got 2 votes, which is maximum. Only when D votes for B will a tie come into picture. Because when D votes for B, B will have 2 votes as against A, who has also got 2 votes. But then as per the question, when there is a tie in the voting process, the one who has got higher score will be the winner. So A becomes the winner. So very clearly, A comes out to be the winner. Look at statement 2. The candidate with the lowest score votes for the player with the second highest score. Now, if you just look at statement 2 alone, according to statement 2, the candidate with the lowest score. Who is the candidate with the lowest score? The candidate with the lowest score is D. So D votes for the player with the second highest score. Who's the player with the second highest score? The player with the second highest score is D. So all that we know about from the statement 2 is that D's vote goes for B. D's vote goes for B. Now, if you only look at statement 2, remember, data sufficiency, you have to be very, very clear. When you're looking at statement 1, never consider the data given in the other statement. Similarly, when you're looking at statement 2, never worry about the data given in the other statement. So when I'm looking at statement 2 now, we will not keep what is given in statement 1. Right? Independently, we are verifying the statements. So statement 2 alone tells me that D's vote has gone for B. How will you decide the winner just based on 1 vote? Just imagine, there are 4 persons. I tell you that D has voted for B and tell me who is the winner. Will you be able to answer this question? No. Which means statement 2 alone cannot give us the answer. So the point is statement 1 alone gives us the answer, but statement 2 alone fails to give the answer. And hence, only 1 is sufficient is the final answer to this question. You get it? Only 1 is sufficient the final answer to this question. When do we go for combination? When do we use the data on both the statements together? If and only if individually the statements fail to give the answer. Let's say 1 fails and 2 also fails. Then we will combine the data and see if the combination gives us the answer or not. But here, independently 1 gives the answer, 2 doesn't give the answer. So only 1 is sufficient. Option 5 is the final answer to this question. And I think with this, we also come to the end of the session. I wish I could solve more questions, but yeah, we have limited time. However, we otherwise do 3 live sessions for the TalentSprint students per week, right? Every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every Saturday on, your SBI PO exam refresher and problem solving sessions and, sessions on current affairs, etc. So you can explore about our programs, TalentSprint's online programs, and get to discuss and learn more such questions. Okay. Now, before I leave you all, there's one important thing I thought I should mention, which is about a new ebook that we have released, right? In fact, it got released today, April 12th, in the evening sometime, right? Now, this is about the 100 most difficult questions for your SBI PO preparation, right? For your SBI PO 2017 preparation. I'm sure all of you are preparing for SBI PO exam. So the idea is that we have kind of compiled some of the most difficult questions. I'm not saying that we are expecting these questions in the SBI PO exam, but yes, these are some of the most difficult questions that one must try out before going for a bank exam, especially for a highly competitive exam like SBI PO, right? So you've got 35 questions from aptitude, quantitative aptitude and reasoning ability each, and 30 questions from English language, right? Now this 100 questions book is been released already, right? It is available to all those who have bought it, right? You can also go check it out and go through these questions. The point that I would like to mention is, if you are able to answer these questions, then you can be confident that yes, I am prepared for the exam. I mean, it's all about building that confidence, right? If you can solve these questions, you are proving that you are very strong conceptually. Don't look at the time. Even if you take 2 hours to solve these 100 questions, even if you take 3 hours to solve these 100 questions, the point is, yes, you're conceptually very strong. You're able to understand what is given in the question. So that is very clear. And that automatically will build your confidence. Even if you're not able to solve these questions, don't panic. I mean, these are like questions which are of really high level. Of course, we have seen in the recent past that even bank exams have raised the bar, right? The type of questions that are being asked have gone up now. But then, yeah, you can definitely give it a shot and just see where you stand. Okay. To know more about this, you can visit our website, talentsprint.com/SBI100. I repeat, talentsprint.com/SBI100. SBI100. talentsprint.com/SBI100. Just visit that link and see if you'd like to explore these 100 most difficult questions that supposedly only winners can solve. On that note, I would like to leave you all and close this session here. Thank you all for joining us in this session and participating here. We'll meet again next week, same time, same day, 6 p.m. with another session for your SBI PO preparation, right? This is a part of the SBI PO Free Academy brought to you by TalentSprint, which also has other elements like weekly all-India mock exams and daily videos and ebooks and these weekly live sessions, which is anyway a part of it. So you can make the most out of this SBI PO Free Academy content and get fully ready for your exam. Okay. Thank you once again. See you all in the next session. Until then, keep practicing and take very good care of yourselves. Bye.